Hi, boys and girls. How we all doing today? I hope everybody had a great weekend and treated their mommies really nice, being it was Mother's Day yesterday. I bet a lot of you made really nice cards and did extra chores and gave her lots of extra loving, so that's super nice of you. Speaking of super extra loving, I appreciate all the beautiful cards I've been getting in the mail, the beautiful letters and pictures. I love them, friends. They're so nice. And friends are learning how to ride their bike without training wheels, and they're riding so nice, and they're starting to read. Friends, I am so impressed with you all. You are doing such an amazing job. You're going to do great in kindergarten. You've really grown a lot since fall. So be very proud of yourselves, friends. Boys and girls, I thought today we should sit out and read one of my favorite books called The Best Nest. The Best Nest. And I brought some of my favorite nests out. And I just find nests so fascinating, how birdies can make something so durable out of just sticks and twine and yarn and leaves and grass. It amazes me how they can build something so it looks so fragile but yet be so strong in the wind and the rain. So I think birds' nests are really amazing, and I think birds are amazing. So friends, maybe you can get outside and look for a nest where the birds are starting to build their homes and starting to have their babies. Maybe you can look and see if you can watch birds and see if you can spot any spots where they're making their nests. But be sure to leave their nests alone, because if there's baby eggs in there, little eggs, the birdies they'll leave them if you touch their eggs. So make sure you just use your eye spyers if you do see a nest, and you could watch the little birds, and maybe you'd even notice if you kept watching them, you'd notice when they hatched. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? All right, so I'm going to read you the book called The Best Nest. This is an oldie but a goodie. This book is so old, it was my husband's when he was little. So it's like 50 years old. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy. He had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. I hope you can see the pictures okay, friends. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. Oh, she wants to find a better one. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I don't like it. Let's look for a new place right now. So she left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. But somebody else had already moved in, so they looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. Oh, an old shoe. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It looks pretty. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. Oh, what did they find? A mailbox. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. Ooh, so there they go. And here it is, right here. Oh, they're going into a church. Oh, to a steeple. Oh, what's up in the steeple? Oh, a bell. They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big? Asked Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. Just want to make sure you can see, friends. They got some soda straws and broom straws. They got some sweater strings. They got some stocking strings and mattress stuffing. Oh boy, he's just trying to read his newspaper. They got some horse hair. They got some man hair. Oh boy, those birdies are using all sorts of things, aren't they? Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horsehair, all the man hair they could carry. They took it all back to their nest. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. "This nest is really the best," said Mrs. Bird. "I want to stay here forever." Ooh, is that going to be a good spot, do you think? Ooh. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of his house. He sang his song again. "I love our house, I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best." He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. Oh, I wonder what Mr. Parker's job is. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's nest. Ooh, what's going to happen? The rope rang. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Boing! Boing! Oh boy, that's a loud spot for a house. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. Boing! 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 When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? "I will look for her until I find her," said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. It's probably a good thing, huh? He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. That's a good thing, too. Then he saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on that fat cat's face. There was something pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Mr. Bird began to cry. "Oh dear," he cried. "This big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird." Oh no. Mr. Bird flew off. "I'll never see Mrs. Bird again," he cried. It was a dark night. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash! Mrs. Bird bumped into something. It was his old house, that old house that Mrs. Bird had hated. "I'll go inside," said Mr. Bird. "I'll rest here until the rain stops." Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, "I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, this nest is best." Oh, I bet he was relieved to find her. "You here? You're here?" gasped Mr. Bird. "I thought you hated this old nest." Mrs. Bird smiled. "I used to hate it," she said, "but a mother bird can change her mind, you see. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird." Oh, she laid an egg. They're going to have a baby. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. There he is. The end. Well, I hope you like that one, boys and girls. I have always liked this story. The best nest. So friends, I hope you can go on a nest hunt. Go look for some birds out there. The birds are going crazy. They've been singing and they're getting ready to have their babies. Some have already had their babies. The other day I saw some baby geese. So look, they had hatched their little eggs and had some baby geese in the pond over there. So I saw those. Let's see, what else did I want to show you? Oh, I noticed that my sunflowers are popping out. I hope yours are growing too, friends. I'll show you how big mine have gotten. I planted them just the other day, and they really sprouted, so I think I'm going to need to put them into a bigger container. So, friends, I hope your seeds have grown, and you're watching, having fun watching them grow. Oh, the other thing I want to show you, I got some show and tell out here. Oh, I have chickens who lay eggs. You can hear my roosters who lay lots of eggs. Well, you know what? There's a fun project, a fun experiment you can do. Remember that smelly white stuff called vinegar? Well, if you take an egg and you put it in vinegar, you know what it turns into? A rubber egg. It gets all bouncy. The vinegar eats away the eggshell, and it turns into like a rubber egg, like a ball. It's pretty cool. So if mom and dad say you can do it, if you have any extra vinegar, you could drop an egg in, and then it takes about 24 hours, about a day, and then you'll notice that the shell gets eaten away and it becomes a rubber egg. It's pretty cool. So maybe you can try that experiment at home if mom and dad say that's all right. I also want to tell you again, thanks for all the beautiful letters. Friends are riding bikes, learning how to write their name and write lots of words and write lots of letters and numbers. I'm just so impressed again with all your talents, friends. And I want to send you a letter this week. I want to send you the butterfly life cycle paper. I'm going to send that in the mail hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday. I'll get that in the mailbox for you, friends, so you can do your life cycle at home. You can color it and remember the cycle of the life for the caterpillars who turn into a butterfly. So right now they're still in their little cup and they're eating a lot, so they're getting nice and chubby. And pretty soon they're going to make themselves into a chrysalis and hang in the cup. And then, friends, I'll show you when they turn into chrysalis, and then we're going to put them into their new habitat. So we'll probably be doing that later this week. All right, everybody? So let's see. I think that's all I had to show you out here. Again, thank you for all the beautiful notes and letters. You guys are awesome. I miss you all, and I'm glad to hear that everybody's learning and doing lots of fun things at home. So stay safe, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.